to investigate these cases with extreme care, with dedication, and with professionalism that will allow us to have successful prosecution if able. And I think you've heard me say before, once an arrest is made, we only have one opportunity to prosecute the case due to things like double jeopardy and speedy trial that can sometimes get in the way if an agency moves too quickly. And I know my mom used to say that the wheels of justice churn exceedingly slow. They do churn exceedingly fine, and law enforcement agencies, they never forget and they never give up. Now, this particular case that we're talking about actually started July 19th, 1972, where we had an unidentified female that was found in a heavily wooded area of Hernando County. She was strangled, and she was wrapped in a fairly unique blanket, and over the years we've put that blanket out trying to find leads on this particular case, and again the body was disposed of in the woods. Just recently, within the last couple years, and I'll probably have Detective Logan talk a little bit more about the specifics of that, but a couple years ago she was identified as Peggy Joyce Shelton. And through our investigation, we determined that she actually married an individual. His name was Jerry Lee Fletcher back in December 18th, December 18th, 1971. And this is the individual that she married. And this is a picture from that era. His date of birth was
All right, you're listening in there to some updates on this cold case. You can see it right there on your screen there. That is the man who was responsible for the murder of Peggy Joyce Shelton 52 years ago. Pretty incredible discovery there. We are going to step away for our last break here. On the other side of this break, Mike Page, my colleague, will be taking over for me. Thanks for watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. Oh. That's not good. That gives me feedback. We're just waiting on the Secret Service press conference. That's what's going on, right? That's what's happening. Just hanging out, being cool. Actually, it's not a very cool day. I'm live. I am. I don't see myself streaming on X. I don't see myself. Okay. Can you hear? Hang on. Can you hear?
We're live.
We are live. Well, what the hell happened?
Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox.
Welcome, everybody, back to Live Now on Fox.
Join us
And you are taking a look at the Dow, and it is a major drop today.
Oh,
we are
shit.
seeing the worst
Look at the
session right
Dow
now since 2022 after a string of weak economic reports jolted investor fears from a recession may be on the horizon. So coming up a little bit later, we will be talking
not good.
with Fox Business to get a breakdown of what investors are feeling.
I think we're looking at a
right
collapse
now. Hi, everyone.
coming.
Mike Page here. Thanks
I hate
again
to
for
be-
joining us on Live Now from Fox.
I hate
The
to be
Friday
Mr.
edition
Poopy
continues
Pants and all.
to carry on. Coming up this hour, we
But,
have the highly in-demand Secret Service news conference. This will be their first update, a news conference setting since July 13th. There has been many calls from Congress and really the general public as well for them to be giving updates on this investigation.
They better have
for
some
the
more
Donald
information.
Trump shooting here. So as soon as that gets going, everyone, we will bring it to you here on Live Now from Fox. In the meantime, do want to take you out to Chicago, where community members as well as Senator Dick Durbin coming together to
Chicago
talk about
survivors,
gun violence in
people that
Chicago
survived
neighborhoods. Let's
Chicago.
Celebration in the space. And I am Jashawn Hill, the Executive Director for Chicago Survivors. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a survivor who has lost more than one loved one, including my brother, to gun violence in this city. I just want everyone to know that
Gun
this is
violence.
an important day.
Violence
and that's
with
why I
guns.
want to offer these special
Damn
thanks
guns
to our
and
guests,
just running around
especially
shooting
our U.S.
people.
Senator Dick Durbin. If everybody could just celebrate that and taking out time today. And some very important people in the space. Our CPS Deputy Chief Ali Muhammad and his Chief of Staff, to the CEO Pedro Martinez.
These people are single-handedly responsible for what's going on in the inner cities. And yet they invite him there to talk.
Supports for communities in schools.
Little Dickie Durbin.
AP Vernon
Little Dickie.
Driscoll with Michelle Clark High School, and our school counselor Tabitha Johnson, who we love so much. With
And this
Libby
is a useful
Elementary,
idiot right here.
Donna Pearson Simmons.
She's a
and her
tool
two
of the system.
grandchildren who are
Her brother was killed.
Everyone, you are watching
Another
Live
family
Now from
member
Fox,
killed.
Everyone, we are now taking
And
you
she's a
out here
Democrat.
live to the Secret Service
Here we go.
update.
Deepest sympathies to the family of Corey Comparator and sincere wishes for a swift recovery for Mr. Copenhaver and Mr. Dutch. The Secret Service takes full responsibility for the tragic events of July 13th. This was a mission failure. The sole responsibility of our agency is to make sure our protectees are never put in danger. We fell short of that in Butler,
You think?
and I'm working to make sure that this failure does not happen again.
How? How exactly?
I'm focused on ensuring that the full resources of the Secret Service are utilized to safeguard our protectees, and I've implemented and will
He's been
continue to
imagining,
implement
hasn't he?
changes to ensure that that happens. We are, and we will continue to cooperate
What are
with
those
pending
changes?
oversight investigations of the July 13th failure being done now by Congress, the Department of Homeland Security's Office of the Inspector General, and the independent review directed by President Biden. Additionally, the Secret Service's Office of Professional Responsibility is currently conducting a mission assurance review. As I stated, I am not waiting for the completion of those reports, and I've directed the Secret Service to take immediate steps to ensure our protectees are indeed safe.
Such as?
And I will summarize those steps in a moment.
Okay, good.
I am committed to pursuing accountability for the Secret Service's failure in Butler, Pennsylvania. But let me be clear. If policy violations by Secret Service personnel are identified by the agency's mission assurance review, those individuals will be held accountable. And they will be held accountable to our fair and thorough disciplinary process. The first part of that process is an investigation to identify whether policy violations occurred. Potential policy violations are referred to our Office of Integrity, and appropriate discipline is administered under our table of penalties. The facts will drive the outcomes of those investigations, and I promise accountability. And I will not rush to judgment nor ignore due process. Every single person within the Secret Service feels the weight of what happened. We are in an unprecedented threat environment and a high operational tempo during this presidential campaign.
Oh,
The men and
now
women of
he
the Secret
realizes.
Service are working incredibly hard and doing their jobs under
They're
difficult
working hard,
circumstances.
man. Working hard.
They need to focus on their work, and they need to know that I have their backs, and that is my commitment to them. I want to thank our state and local partners. The Secret Service relies on local law enforcement for every protective event.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Those
dude.
valiant men and women work
this-
tirelessly protecting their communities.
Is this it?
They know the people,
No,
places, and terrain
He's going to
that
give
we
some
operate
bullet
in.
points, he said.
Oh, okay. I'm
We
sorry.
owe them
Some
our
details.
thanks, and simply put, we cannot do our jobs without them. And I know how important this relationship is. I spent 4 years in local law enforcement before joining the Secret Service. I know the long hours these men and women put in and the professionalism they bring to this partnership. And in that capacity, I was always proud to support the Secret Service's protective mission when called upon as a municipal police officer. In no way should any state or local agency supporting us in Butler on July 13th be held responsible for a Secret Service failure. Typically, the Secret Service refrains from commenting on ongoing investigations, but we know these are extraordinary circumstances. So please understand that the information provided today is based on what I know now to a degree of certainty. We will learn more as interviews are completed and further evidence is gathered and analyzed, and I will share more information as it becomes available.
It's been 19 days.
But I can say without a doubt that heroism was present that day. Secret
Oh,
Service agents
barf.
rushed to the stage to shield the former president with their bodies within 3 seconds of bullets ringing
Yeah,
out
we
in
saw
an
that.
unflinching act of bravery. The Secret Service counter sniper who neutralized the threat with a single shot undoubtedly saved countless lives.
Oh, God. After 16
We're in a high
seconds.
operational tempo,
And they didn't
and I
see the guy
need-
running across the roof.
and I want our Secret Service workforce, the dedicated men and women of the Secret Service. I want to know, and I want to make sure that they are uplifted so they can focus on carrying out the mission. They are worthy.
I'm going to pause for 1 second. This blockhead actually said during the hearing, when asked what went wrong, he said, I think we had a lack of imagination
Yeah.
in being able to picture that we live in a hostile world and that there might be bad actors that actually want to
that's
hurt our
literally their
protectees.
job.
Literally, that's what he said. Okay? You got to be fucking kidding me.
Of trust and confidence, and they deserve your support. And let me take a moment to speak to the American people that are counting on us to do our job, to protect their ability to cast a vote for the candidate of their choice. The Secret Service's successes are largely unknown. You will only know of our failures, and those have been documented, and all of them are undeniably
Is he
dark
playing
days
the world's
in our
tiniest
nation's
violin
history.
right now?
But let me tell you about the dedicated patriots of the Secret Service.
Oh shit! I'm sick
These
of
public
this.
servants are the quiet professionals working in the background.
What is
day
this
in and day out.
gaslighting? We don't
They
care.
are standing the watch,
What went wrong?
providing a blanket of protection
Who's fucking
to the people that
responsible?
work in the White House, to the thousands of people who attend political
Blah,
rallies
blah,
and
blah.
nominating conventions,
Unsatisfactory.
to the thousands of American citizens who line Pennsylvania Avenue every 4 years on Inauguration Day to see the new president and the new vice president. And they are out there right now doing this mission. They are focused, and they live their professional lives committed to the values of this agency: justice, duty, loyalty, courage, and honesty. This is who we are, and this is what we do. And we will earn back your trust.
It's just bullshit.
I'll now provide a timeline of the visit to Butler, Pennsylvania. On July 8th, personnel assigned to the agency's Pittsburgh field office conducted planning meetings and a site walkthrough with law enforcement partners and campaign staff. On July 10th, Secret Service counter sniper and technical security personnel arrived in Pittsburgh.
Something tells me.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And began advanced planning for their teams. July 12th, the build-out of the campaign rally site began and continued through the early morning hours of July 13th.
Oh, good. Okay.
In the morning of July 13th, a site briefing was conducted with Secret Service personnel and law enforcement partners supporting the event. Secret Service personnel took their posts, and a technical security sweep of the protective site commenced prior to the site's opening to event staff, vendors, and to the public. At 12:30 p.m.,
he said that they met with local law enforcement that morning? That's what he said.
Opened the protective site to event staff and vendors, and then at 1 o'clock, magnetometer screening of the estimated 15,000 people attending the campaign rally event, staff and vendors began. At 5:30 p.m., former President Trump arrived at the campaign rally via Secret Service motorcade, and at that time he met with supporters in a secure backstage area within the protective site. At 5:45 p.m., a local Butler County Emergency Services Unit counter-sniper team member texted the Secret Service counter-sniper team leader about a suspicious person and sent 2 photos of the individual, later identified as the assailant. At 5:53 p.m., the Secret Service counter-sniper team leader texted the Secret Service counter-sniper teams that local law enforcement was looking for a suspicious individual outside of the perimeter lurking around the AGR building. At this time, Secret Service personnel were operating with the knowledge that local law enforcement was working on an issue of a suspicious individual. The concept of local law enforcement working on such issues is common at sites. And on July 13th, there were over 100 calls for support. At 6 p.m., former President Trump took the stage to begin remarks. And based on what I know right now, neither the Secret Service counter-sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the AGR building with a firearm.
Then you're a fucking moron.
It is my understanding that personnel were not aware the assailant had a firearm until they heard gunshots.
Oh, my God.
At 6:11 p.m., a member of the former President Trump's protective detail
Where was the
contacted
failure?
their Pittsburgh field office counterpart to inquire about the radio update that there was an issue local law enforcement was looking into near the perimeter. At 6:11 p.m., the assailant's first volley of 3 shots was fired, and within 3 seconds, the former president's detail rushed the stage and covered former President Trump, shielding him with their own bodies.
We should have had this the next day.
The 4 through 8 shots took place over the next several seconds. 15 and a half seconds after the assailant's first shot, a Secret Service counter-sniper fired a single round that neutralized the assailant.
15 seconds is a lifetime.
That concludes a quick, brief summary of the timeline. And with that, I'll turn it over to our staff here to begin any questions.
Wait. He said that he was going to fucking give us the points of changes they were going to make.
Start again. You said earlier this week to Congress that you don't want to tip anything on the scale as far as disciplinary action is concerned. I need to ask you, since you testified, has anyone been suspended with or without pay? Has anyone been fired? And will you tell us as people are disciplined along the way, or is this something we're going to need to just constantly be asking? Or will you update and tell us 5 people have been fired, 6 people, 7 people? What can you tell us?
Sure. Thank you for that question, David. So, as I said in my opening statement, there are going to be, there's the mission assurance review. If that mission assurance review is looking into if there were policy violations. At that point now, if in fact there were policy violations, at that point now it'll go into a parallel path of a disciplinary type of investigation. Those
the bureaucracy will seep.
Internal investigations that deal with employee matters. So we're not going to be able to provide real-time updates or continuously to provide you updates on that.
Not going to be able to do that. Sorry.
Is that these are very thorough investigations.
Just rest assured.
And if in fact, there were policy violations and they are substantiated, those employees will be held accountable.
I think if I just may, sir, people want accountability. You may not be able to tell us names or positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, names. Who?
That people have been disciplined. People want
Who's responsible?
Some accountability here.
I will be able to, at least at a high level, provide at least some type of statement that people are being accountable, being held accountable.
If I may, and I appreciate this.
That's bullshit.
Some new video of somebody on the roof, which we
Yeah, what about that?
That was running back and forth.
Yeah, running back and forth.
And Trump was speaking does that go with this timeline?
Yeah. So it affirms to me, and again, and you heard this from the FBI, and they're still conducting interviews and looking at this. It even just affirms to me that this was a failure. We should have had better protection for the protectee. We should have had better coverage.
The sniper should have shot him before he when he saw him running across the fucking roof.
Set of eyes,
or radioed everybody and said, "We got somebody on a roof."
That building was very close to that outer perimeter, and we should have had more of a presence. And so,
that's
as far
bullshit.
as the timeline of him running back
generalities.
and forth, I know the FBI has provided a bit of a chronology as well, and so I'd have to go back and look at that. But the bottom line is this, David.
Bottom line.
This was a Secret Service failure.
We know
roof
that.
Line should have been covered. We should have had better eyes on that.
Yeah. Why not? Why didn't we? Why didn't we?
Yeah, thanks so much for doing this. I have just a quick follow-up. Can you describe, you said there were 100 calls for support, who those calls came from and what those looked like? And also, moving forward, do you anticipate, and if so, what any different changes in protocol between how Secret Service communicates or works with local law enforcement specifically as they work to secure events or other things?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So, with regards to calls for support, it was a very hot day that day. There was a lot of not only
why are we
EMS
talking
type
about
of calls
this?
to address people, but there were people that needed some other type of law enforcement assistance. This happens. Candidly, happens a lot at outdoor rallies, especially on hot days. So there was a lot of traffic, radio traffic on the local net about, hey, I need EMT here. So there was a lot of people that were needing assistance.
What's up or down.
With respect to the interoperability, so one of the things that I've directed is I've commissioned a task force. And that task force is going to be leveraging the resources of the Department of Homeland Security. It'll be co-chaired in all likelihood by someone from the Secret Service and someone from CISA. And I think we're also going to bring in some state and local law enforcement. The interoperability challenge, it's not an easy fix. It's not as simple as just trying to figure out the local frequency of the agency you're working with and then piping that into your radio network. It requires a substantial technical fix. In the meantime, before we can get to that, what I need to have is I need to make sure that our folks, when they're out there, we use a counterpart system. On the day in Butler, we had a Pennsylvania State Trooper in our security room. They also had a unified command post that had some of the other agencies that were on site that day.
What went wrong?
It is plainly obvious to me that we didn't have access to certain information, not by anybody's fault.
Nobody's
fault. It just so happened that there was
nobody's fucking fault.
That there might have been radio traffic that we missed. We have to do a better job of that. So moving forward,
we have to do a better job, but it's nobody's fault.
We'll provide more information on next week as we begin to stand that up. I've also directed all of our SACs, our special agents in charge of field offices across the country, to reevaluate where we put our security rooms. If a state or local sets up a unified command post, maybe we need to be in that room as well.
Maybe?
As opposed to just being in another room and relying on that counterpart system. It was so apparent to me.
This guy's a joke.
In the final 30 seconds, which has been the focus of what happened before the assailant opened fire, there was clearly radio transmissions that may have happened on that local radio net that we did not have. And so we have to do a better job of co-locating, leveraging that counterpart system.
You had the sniper
and this is going to drive our operations going forward.
And we got a camera of the guy running across the roof.
We did not. It did not make it over to us. Or whether we did not hear it, it just did not make it over to us. It did not make it to us. And I go back to my opening statement where the members of the detail, they did not. All they knew that the issue that the locals were working an issue at the president's 3 o'clock, which would have been off to his right, which is where the shot came from.
Well, how did you know that?
Just to follow quickly on that question of the 100. Sorry, to clarify on the 100 calls that you got roughly that day. I understand a lot of them were heat related. How many specifically were suspicious people? Was this the only call, the eventual shooter that was a suspicious character? And then also just to kind of clarify, did you guys have a drone on site? Did you try to use it? And if not, like, why did you not use the locals' offer of a drone?
Sure. So, as I understand it now, based on the information I
Who
have,
turned
there
it
were
down?
other calls of suspicious individuals. And your other question was about drones? Drones. Yeah. Sure. Right. So we did not have a drone on site. We did not put a drone up. Based on the information I have right
Why
now,
not? Who
I am
made that
aware
call?
that there was a request from a local agency to offer to fly a drone on that day, and that is also part of the mission assurance review that I've asked to get
We've
some better
learned
insight
nothing
in.
today.
One of the other changes that I implemented when I became the acting director is we are now going to leverage the use of unmanned aerial systems at sites now. So
Really?
we're
going to start using drones ever since this.
Out,
wow.
and
He's a revolutionary.
we should have had better line of sight on some of those high ground concerns. We thought we might have had it covered with the human eye, but clearly we are going to change our approach now, and we are going to leverage technology and put those unmanned aerial systems up.
Wait, our Secret Service, the premier police agency of the world.
Thank you so much for doing this. You mentioned that there were text messages from Butler ESU to U.S. Secret Service counter snipers. I'm curious if that is routine. You know, there were 2 communication channels at the Butler rally, and you referenced earlier this week it appears that information was stuck or siloed at the state and local channel. What was the plan to relay information from locals to the Secret Service initially? What is the protocol? And I just have one follow-up.
Sure. So, Nicole, we use that counterpart system, right? And so the teams, especially on the tactical side, when it comes to the tactical our counter-assault team, they actually had an embed with them from the local TAC team. And they had that radio net as well with Pennsylvania State Police.
Jargon.
With respect to the counter-snipers, they were using cellular or telephone text communications. At this point, moving forward, what I have directed now is that everybody should be using the radio net. And if we don't have the ability to pipe in or leverage that counterpart system, that's one of the things that we're looking at now. We should be able to have direct comms with the people that are supporting us.
You think?
And that's moving forward. That's what I have directed.
So just to clarify, U.S. Secret Service counter snipers did not have radio communications.
Not with the local CS folks that were providing a support.
Wow.
They were basically had an area responsibility independent from where
I guess they couldn't imagine that.
Were securing.
And just a last thing, did the U.S. Secret Service counter sniper teams that arrived on site on July 10th ever relay line of sight concerns? What came of that? And can you confirm that this was the first 2024 campaign event?
Who made the decision to leave it out of the perimeter?
Former president.
Sure. As part of their advance, they identified those line of sight, those high ground concerns, and there's a division of labor. With respect to the whether or not this was the first time, it was the first time Secret Service counter snipers were deployed to support the former president's detail.
It's the first time he's ever had counter snipers?
For doing this. I have a
kidding
question
me?
about the review that you did, the picture that you showed in the Senate the other day of the vantage point that the local snipers
They were
had.
supposed to
How
kill
do you
him, and
know
then they
that
were going to
that's the
kill him.
window
That's
that
what was
they
going to
were
happen.
actually posted at? Because they're saying that they're on a completely other side of the building. And related to that, has the Secret Service actually interviewed the snipers that were in the AGR building?
So thank you for that. So once the FBI had released the Butler Farm Show site, we were able to take custody of it, and we sent the full resources of our Office of Investigations, which included the Forensic Services Division. We did a full site reconstruction, and this is part of our ongoing mission assurance review.
Okay.
And as part of that, that also included the plotting and also trying to identify where not only our personnel were, but also where state and local law enforcement
And so where were they?
And then the second part of your question was...
Where were they? Where were they?
How did you identify where they were?
Where were they?
Have you interviewed the local snipers?
Did they leave their
So
post?
the mission assurance, we're starting with our federal personnel and working out. We will get, if they're willing to be interviewed, we will ask for the local law enforcement on site to be interviewed that day.
We haven't talked to
how
him
we
yet.
went back and reconstructed that was based on
We haven't
what
talked
we
to
had
him
based
yet.
on the ops plan, and
It's
then
been
also
19
based
days.
on what our own folks as they understood it on the day of.
It's ridiculous.
You talked a lot about how you may not have been as specific as you need to be. So how do you know that they were in that window, that if they looked left, they could have seen something? Because
Yeah.
they're saying there's no way they couldn't see any of the roofs.
It's unacceptable.
So I think what we'll do is we'll let the mission assurance play that out, and we'll look forward to interviewing them and definitely getting their side of the story. But what I also want to reiterate is this was a Secret Service failure, and so they should not be blamed. We're not trying to shift blame to anybody, and that's the important takeaway, that we need our state and local partners out there doing this with us every day.
Director, thank you for taking the time. Just a couple questions, if you could walk us through some things to help us better understand. Have you gotten to the bottom of why there was no one stationed on the roof from a law enforcement perspective, and why there was no one there
Just the
to
basic
secure
questions, you know?
the building to make sure no one could get up there? Have you gotten any clarity on why those two lapses in security were in place? And I have a couple quick follow-ups.
Sure. It's something that, again, having been there the day after I was named the acting director, I wanted to put eyes on and go up there and see it.
Yes, sir.
And looking at that site, it really
Made you feel bad.
seeing how close that site was to the stage, seeing where it was.
Made you feel bad.
It definitely raised a lot of questions in my mind that there should have been physical presence, if not on the roof, that there should have been better security to prevent anyone from getting up on
So
that
why didn't
roof.
that happen? Who made the decision?
Moving forward, I've directed our Office of Protective Operations and our Special Operations Division now that when we are up operational and we have counter snipers out there, that we were working with locals, and that they in fact will also be out present. At the very least, the presence of a law enforcement officer can deter a lot of bad activity. Having been a local police officer, I will never know how many crimes I prevented just by being there, just by walking the street and being out there.
Oh, this is all bullshit.
And so moving forward, one of the things that we want to do is we want to deter people from even thinking about trying to do something like this again.
Deterrence.
And the only way we can do that is leveraging not only the resources that we have, but the resources of our state and locals, and putting them out there in an overt presence.
Two very quick follow-ups. You talked at length at the hearing the other day about the system that did not
said nothing.
operate, that could detect drones.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe a little bit of how that works? Does that go in the sky itself to detect the drones? And then finally,
They weren't used.
the interoperability issue. I'm clear in terms of that Secret Service radios were not communicating with the locals. But you had people in the command post, right, who in theory could hear and know some basics of what was going on. Is that am I understanding that correctly?
So with respect to the counter UAS, Pierre, I don't want to get into too much sensitive information, but what I can tell you is it allows that asset allows the geolocation to be able to plot where a drone is within a certain distance of how we set up. So think of it as like geofencing, and then being able to pinpoint and detect where that is.
Why are we talking about something that wasn't used?
With respect to the agency that was, we had Pennsylvania State Police, but it appears that there was really a big sense of urgency going on, and the state and locals were doing everything they possibly could to try to find the assailant. It had already come to their attention. They were actively trying to find him, and I believe everyone was doing their level best to try to locate him. But there could have been other agencies that were putting out radio transmissions, and this is something that we'll work with the FBI to get further on.
They work hard,
but those
man.
radio transmissions might have just been back to the unified command post and maybe not have made it over the Pennsylvania State Police here.
Why
but
are we still
that's something
talking
that we're
in
gonna look into,
maybes?
and definitely something that we are moving forward. We definitely want to remedy this going forward.
Oh
my God.
This guy's pathetic.
Yes, that they were working an issue at the 3 o'clock of the stage.
Thanks for doing this. I wanted to ask you about changes moving forward. Former President Trump
buy
has
any of
said
this.
he wants to continue having outdoor rallies. What specifically will be different at the next rally that wasn't the case in Butler? And if I could ask a follow-up to, do you have information in the 30 seconds after
this
the
a
gunman
gay
was
man?
confronted on the roof by a local law enforcement officer,
Why do you
that
say
there
that?
were local law enforcement trying to communicate with the Secret Service that there was someone on the roof with a gun, and that transmission was the one that was missed?
Yeah, Kuhn, you're right.
So with respect to
Ridiculous.
the former president wanting to get back out there, listen, it's a campaign season, right? Candidates want to be out there. They want to be, whether it's an indoor site or an outdoor site, it's on the Secret Service to make sure that we create a secure environment. Listen, we identify challenges, we identify concerns, and then it's on us to figure out what we need to do to mitigate that. So if there are going to be future campaign rallies outside, it's
going to work
be
harder
on us to make sure that we are providing
it's on
all
us.
the assets
It's
and
on us,
resources
man.
to make sure that those sites are indeed secure. With respect to the radio transmissions, based
Have you
on
ever heard so
what
much
the
talking
FBI,
about nothing and
my
saying
colleague
nothing?
from the FBI testified the other day, and they are working on isolating some of those radio frequencies from the state and locals. That there was somebody who did in fact radio out that they had seen the individual with a weapon. What I can tell you is that piece of information, that vital piece of information, and by no fault of anyone, it
No
was a very
fault of
stressful situation.
anyone.
It did not make it over. Our detail,
Why does
our
he
counter
keep
snipers,
saying that?
everyone that was there that day were
Why is it
operating
the fault of
under
no
the
one?
assumption and under the last bit of information they had received.
It's totally gay.
That there was an issue that the locals were working at the 3 o'clock. That's the bit of information that we had, not anything about a weapon.
I wanted you to address, or if you can, describe the Pittsburgh field office and their level of experience, especially in preparing for events like this, and also have they explained their thinking and how they defined the perimeter that day?
Sure. Thanks, Holmes. Our Pittsburgh field office, I don't think there's anybody in the Secret Service who is feeling this more than the men and women of our Pittsburgh field office.
Oh, God.
And I've met with them. And they are down right now.
Oh, who cares? We don't give a fuck.
When I've met with them the other day, it was very difficult. It's difficult for them. They feel like they let their colleagues down. They feel like they let the country down. And they are wearing this, and it's open. You can see it. It's an open wound.
Oh, God, he's so feminine.
They are a very experienced office.
What is all this feeling shit?
And what I will say is they are cooperating with the
Who
mission
agrees
assurance.
with me? This is
They understand
ridiculous.
the gravity
Talks like
of
a
the
fucking
situation.
woman.
And they are definitely
Imagination,
down right
man.
now.
Oh, they're down. They're down. My God.
I'm curious, how does Secret Service even make assumptions regarding protection? Because it seems antithetical to the entire protection mission.
Yeah. So when I said it's a failure to challenge our assumptions,
Oh.
meaning the assumption that, hey, that's going to be addressed or that's going to be covered by state and local. So earlier this week, I convened a call with all of our special agents in charge of all of our field offices, and I expressed to them, listen, we need our state and local counterparts, but we also have to be very direct, very clear about what our expectations are about what we need from them, whether it's a particular asset, whether it's particular numbers of personnel. We need to be very clear so that they have an understanding of exactly what we need from them.
Learning on the fly? What is
That
this?
That's on us. We need to be better communicators.
How many movies have you seen about
articulate
the fucking
exactly what we
Secret
need
Service?
to mitigate any challenges, concerns, or anything that we identify during that advanced process. And so I have full confidence in our SACs in the field. I have full confidence in our state and local counterparts.
Do you?
That moving forward now, we're not going to have this
Why?
assumption that, we think that they have it. No, we're going to work together.
make
We're going to
sure.
have good, hard, fierce conversations about
Fierce.
what we're
Hard
going to do.
and fierce.
We're going to go out there and we're going to make all of these venues secure
This
moving
guy's
forward.
a joke.
Yeah.
Stooge.
Thank you, Acting Director. One thing, for starters, I was hoping you could elaborate a little bit on a portion of the timeline in which you address a communication between the Secret Service detail and personnel at the Pittsburgh field office. It just struck me as a little vague, and I was curious if you could elaborate on what that communication was.
So the former president's details, they had an advanced person on the ground who was responsible for the site. The radio
And he
transmission
really
goes
feels
out
bad.
about locals working an issue at the 3 o'clock. The member of that detail called their Pittsburgh field office counterpart. Hey, what do you know about this? In the midst, right in the middle of that phone conversation, the shots begin firing. So that's the context of it.
And sorry if I missed. Could you say how they became aware of the locals working an issue in the first place to even have that conversation with them?
That was the radio transmission that was put out by our security room.
I got it. Okay. The other, just to follow up.
So why was he allowed to take the stage if we had an issue at the 3 o'clock?
This was the first event where Secret
Working
Service
an issue.
counter snipers had been assigned as part of the security for former President Trump.
I mean, I hate to say it, but if it's fucking vague and we have an issue, shouldn't we always err on the side of caution rather than, it's not identified as a threat, so I guess it'll be okay?
Right.
That's fucking ridiculous. You should have said, what do you mean we got an issue? Identify what it is. Let's not let him go on until we get it worked out.
Right.
He's lying through his fucking teeth, and he's going to burn in hell. Look at those soulless eyes.
To what extent do you
He's
think
a
that
fucking
factored
liar.
into what were ultimately shown to be the failures? Just that this was a first time, at least in a while, in his capacity as a former president, that they were there on the site.
So
the novelty of it. Sorry.
Sure. So let me just clarify one thing. This is the first time that Secret Service counter snipers, but the former president at campaign rallies has actually been getting state and local resources. So tactical assets, counter snipers from state and locals. So with respect to why they were there in Butler, listen, we evaluate our threat landscape every day. We calibrate based on that threat.
That was the first time they had counter snipers. Why?
Evaluated
Because they were going to kill him,
threat
and
stream
they
that we
needed
have,
to
and we
take
put
the
our
guy
Secret
out.
Service counter sniper personnel out there. And looking back,
I'm
you
done.
It
I'm
was
convinced.
very fortunate that we did.
The government tried to take out
but
Donald Trump.
The former president will have counter sniper coverage moving forward, as will the president, the vice president, Senator Vance, and then we'll
The
await
very
the
first
eventual,
time CNN was
Democratic
there
vice
and live
presidential
streamed,
nominee.
and the very
We
first
are gonna
time you
put
ever got
full
counter snipers.
resources out there to make sure that our campaign
Too many coincidences.
Cadence now is obviously picked up.
Too many.
And we're going to make sure that we have all the resources out there to address any challenges that we have.
Thank you. As you're doing this review, are you looking at the days leading up to this event and the instructions that you gave to state and local and federal partners? I know in the past there used to be a PowerPoint presentation that was given before events like this, where people who were part of each unit in the Secret Service would stand up, go through the
Protecting the
mission, who was
president
assigned to
and
them,
you.
what they'd be doing. I understand that did not happen in this
A
case.
PowerPoint.
And hasn't been happening for some time prior. Is that something you think was missing here? Is that something you might review and bring back? And do you also think the Secret Service is too reliant on state, local, and federal partners? I mean, you have almost 2,000 HSI agents helping in events coming this fall. That's a third of their workforce, and it takes a lot from state and locals as well. So first, would you bring back the PowerPoint? Do you think there should have been more planning? And are you too reliant on state and local and other partners?
Thanks, Julia. So that will be part of the mission assurance,
didn't you
the
just say
communications
that?
and what was communicated leading up to it. What I can tell you now, based on information I have, is there was, and what you're referring to is what we call a police meeting, where we bring all the agencies together that will be directly supporting a particular visit. We know that there was a police meeting. We know that there were agencies from the various jurisdictions were present. The
That
ones
morning?
when I say that, the ones that were
He's lying
the
if he says
primary
they did
ones
in the morning.
identified with providing support and were going to be involved in the advanced planning process, meaning they were going to provide a counterpart, kind of like what you said, the PowerPoint. If you're going to be conducting the site, this is Special Agent so-and-so, and, here's their contact info.
Why do we always get a so-and-so?
Everyone kind of
How
goes
about
off
a name?
and they form up,
Special
and
Agent
they
Johnson.
go over how they're going to go out and do the walkthroughs and identify some of the things. Based on the information, I don't know about the PowerPoint. I can tell you that there was a police meeting. With respect to the PowerPoint, I certainly think that visuals are always good. I think that if we're not using it, we certainly will. But that goes back to my direction that
maybe you should
we have
make
to be
a video
very specific about what we're communicating and what our expectations are moving forward. With respect to the reliance on state and local law enforcement. Listen, there are 700,000 full-time law enforcement officers, over 700,000 full-time law enforcement officers in the United States. The majority of prosecutions in the criminal justice system in the United States are done by state and locals. That's a result of criminal investigations that they do every day in their communities to keep them safe. Over 135 officers died last year serving their communities, federal, state, and local. 47 of them died by violent means, gunfire. There's not an over-reliance on them. They're out there every day securing their communities. They know the terrain. They know the people. More importantly, they know the local laws.
Yeah, and it worked so good this time, didn't it?
Where it's open carry, we're going to rely on them to enforce local laws. I, as a federal agent, cannot go out there and enforce the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I need those state and local law enforcement officers. So I would push back on that. With respect to leveraging other federal partners, when we were in the Department of Treasury and I was a brand new agent, I would stand post during a campaign year with agents from ATF, IRS criminal investigations.
How did this guy rise as high as he has?
We were all one big happy family. Customs. Customs moved over to DHS just like we did. So we do this every 4 years. We rely on those partners. We use them during national special security events like the Democratic National Convention, the United Nations General Assembly, the presidential inauguration. Those are whole of government security operations.
Oh, I love the whole of government approach, don't you?
And we're going to bring in partners from across the government.
Makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
I don't feel that it's an over-reliance. It's something that we have done going back to our days at Treasury, and we're going to continue to do that. We need those partners, and we need those state and local officers.
Can I follow up here?
Sure.
There's just something I didn't understand. When you're talking about that time period where locals understand that this person is a threat, but it's before Secret Service finds out, understands communication issues, were they not standing right next to them, or were they in two separate command centers?
So we had our security room, and then they had a unified command post, and we had Pennsylvania State Police officer representative in our security room.
But there was no Secret Service agent in the unified?
No, there was not.
So are there typically two separate command centers?
That was unique. As I understand it, that's an emergency management model that they use.
Why?
As I mentioned in that conversation with our special agents in charge in the field, I've directed them, hey, we need to rethink where we put our security room. If the large majority of our partners are in a unified command post or in a different location, we need to probably be there too. And so we have to rethink how we.
Who's the one that made the decision to put it where it was?
Put our security rooms, and we are
Officer
in fact doing that
so-and-so.
now moving forward.
So let's go to Alan Gilmer with Bloomberg. We'll do the pool. And if there's time for follow-up, we got to take them.
Thanks so much. Appropriators in Congress this week delayed consideration of DHS's budget for fiscal 25. They want to know more about what Secret Service needs. I know you said Tuesday, obviously every agency head is always going to say they need more resources, but can you be kind of specific about what resource needs there may be, particularly when we're looking at the technology issues, radio transmissions, the CUAS system?
So following this, we have had tremendous support from the Department of Homeland Security and from the Secretary. And we have, in fact, looked at all of these needs. Given this dynamic, high-threat environment that we're operating
The dynamic,
in
high-threat
order to
environment
meet
you
this, we can
failed
meet
to
this
imagine.
now. But it is going to require additional
this guy
investments
probably
and
is a
resources.
criminal.
And we are having those conversations. We certainly have been, we've had great support, not only from the department, but also our appropriations committee. committees, and we are working through kind of what our needs are right now. We will have future conversations about this, and we are appreciative
There's
that
zero
everyone is
transparency
really
here, guys.
coming together to make sure that we have what we need to meet this high threat.
Oh, they need a slope roof specialist. Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, that's not for me
Climbing
to
gear,
weigh in on. But
everything.
what I will tell you is, there's also a lot of discussion about why should the
Carabiners.
Secret Service do criminal investigations. And what I will say is this: we were founded in 1865 as an investigative entity. It's in our DNA. I firmly believe that the best protection agents learn those skills being criminal investigators. You learn how to interact with people. You learn organizational skills. You learn to be analytical.
Then
Those
why
are
did you all
traits
fail
that you
so
need to
badly?
have when you're on a detail? Moreover, if you look at where we are today, buildings, communities, everything is interconnected. And
Buildings?
so we have a particular expertise
Communities?
in cyber and in cybercrime and critical systems protection. And so when you overlay that investigative skill set that we have, it's more than just securing the president or our protectees in a brick and mortar setting. It's also protecting them from things that make them vulnerable due to cyber.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
To be able to detect, to be able to analyze, to be able to make sure that we are hardening not only cyber systems, but hardening a building that is fed by cyber systems. The only way to gain that experience, that knowledge, is to be able to do criminal investigations.
What is he talking about?
It is within our investigative authority to follow up on threats. People make threats to the president and the people we protect every day. We need to have that domestic and international
But you
network
couldn't
of field
imagine there were
offices
people
to be
out
able
there
to
wanting
track
to
down
hurt
those
him.
threats. And
That's
if
why none of
necessary,
it
bring
makes
those people to
sense.
justice and present them to a U.S. attorney's office. So this, I know there's been a lot of talk. Should we or shouldn't we? Should we do this? Should we be in DHS? The bottom line is this. If you want the Secret Service to continue to be the Secret Service and be effective at what it does, it needs to be doing investigations, and it probably needs to be in the Department of Homeland Security until Congress or others have an opportunity to weigh in.
Doctor, for the last questions, we're going to go to the pool for those that couldn't be here today. Jake is.
Just a quick question. There's a report that a whistleblower has alleged that you personally directed cuts to the counter surveillance division, which led to the threat assessments team failing to perform its duties that it typically would before the Butler rally. Is that accurate? Is
Finally,
that
a good
allegation
question.
accurate?
So I've become aware of this. We got a congressional letter on it. What I can tell you is that the counter surveillance division, they do a fantastic job. They have a very specific mission set.
Good question,
A lot of that
Bastiat.
mission set is here in the National Capital Region, focused on permanent protective sites. But they do go out and they support, when requested, they go out
Don't
and
worry,
support
the
former
FBI is
details.
looking after
I
them.
know that there's been allegations that that I personally cut or that I, that
We're
I
gonna
denied
find out.
requests. The counter surveillance division has been out there supporting the former president's detail at some very high-profile events. They continue to provide that support, and they're out there providing support right now. So we're going to respond to the letter that we received,
hand-picked seals.
we'll be sure to make that. I'm sure they will. We'll be
All
able
the
to
ones
share
that
that
were kicked
response
out because of the
when the
vax.
committee says it's okay to respond.
The purebloods.
I did not know.
Did you finally figure out how he got that gun?
This
on the
guy's
roof? Did it fit
vaccinated
in the backpack?
We're working to determine that. That's something that the FBI is working on. There's a couple of I don't want to speculate as to exactly how
I
he
wouldn't want to do that.
would have gotten it up there.
Director Rowe, the 2024 campaign, I know they're adding
Not to mention the Ukraine.
more candidates to your protection list. Can you ensure protection of those candidates?
So we have already trained numerous details to be able to mobilize, to pick up multiple candidates. Most of the presidential campaign activity usually picks up coming
He's
out
got
of
a lot of good
conventions.
words.
So we are prepared for this. It's just that now we are in such a heightened dynamic environment.
Heightened
We're actually
dynamic.
making sure that we are probably putting everything we can to make sure that we don't have a mission failure. It is incumbent upon everyone in the Secret Service.
It's the biggest money laundering operation ever in the history of man, and the corruption grift.
The Democratic National
Ukraine is
Convention,
Kuhn.
as we await picking up another candidate with the eventual naming of a vice presidential nominee from the Democratic side. We are going to staff that, and we're going to make sure that we have all the resources and assets necessary to provide that level of protection. Thank you, everyone.
Well, what a fucking waste of time that was, boys and girls.
There, the news conference.
That was
this
pathetic.
was the big one that we have been waiting for.
Yeah,
Really.
and let me back up, because let me tell you something. This chucklehead, okay, said at some point, and I'm going to go over that. He's like talking and talking and talking and talking. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zero in on it. But he said, he didn't say it anyway. He straight up said, and I'm going to go on to what those specifically are, bullet points, in a minute. And then he went on to spew a bunch of horse crap, generic spew, garbage crap.
Yep.
And then he never got around to it. He opened up questions. That was completely lame. I'm like wholly and totally disappointed, but not surprised, right? Of course, not surprised at all. Man, everything is so damn corrupt. I mean, all you got to do is listen to what the Democrats say about us, and then that's what they're doing, because it's all projection. So if I gave you like one filter for how to go figure out the key to tell you everything, what they're doing is everything they accuse us of doing, they are doing. Always. Always. What did you show me? What were you going to show me?
Oh, just a picture of Biden. He looked like...
Death warmed over. Yeah. Yeah. Man, he got on. I don't know, guys. Did you see that he wandered onto the plane last night? Okay.
Oh, the private plane came in to bring the hostages.
Do you want to look at it?
Yeah.
You want to look at it for a minute?
Yeah.
I tweeted it, didn't I?
Probably.
Probably. That's you. Okay, so we got to pull up the other Twitter. There. Let me find it for a minute. And then I'll be about done. I'm warm, but I wanted to see that, and I wanted to bring that to y'all, because that was nuts. That's
right.
Crazy shit off the chain.
I've got the video. Go ahead and go into bookmarks.
All right, I'll go into bookmarks. Hang on, let me switch over. Do 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 do. All right, here we go. Bookmarks. Navigate over there.
Over there.
All right. So this is great, guys. You got to watch this.
Well, no, let me set it up real quick.
Set it up. Go ahead. All right. As of last night, what happened?
This is the plane a private jet that delivered
3
hostages
from
Russia. Yeah. So they got off the plane. The plane is now empty.
Right.
Okay.
And this is a big deal. This is like a big deal, right? They want to make a big splash of this.
It's midnight.
Yeah,
way past his bedtime.
Way past the bedtime.
Right.
So maybe we're trying to figure out what Joe was doing here.
Okay.
But
so let's see if we can figure this out.
He's essentially
they're
supposed to leave. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna play and I'm gonna go take care of the dog. Hang on. Narrate.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he's heading over to the stairs of the plane that's not his plane and is currently empty. So everyone's watching. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to think. Kamala's just cackling away, going...
Looking uncomfortable.
Yo, yeah.
Like seriously, man.
What's he doing?
I don't know, but I think he thought...
Maybe he had to use the John.
Maybe he had to use the John. That's possible.
Did you tie her?
Yeah, she's tied up. The dog, not the girl under the bed.
Oh. Yeah.
She's in a box. I'm kidding. Yeah, look, he's still in there, guys. It's a full minute and a half, by the way. He's in there wandering around. Look at everybody's just like going.
He's probably trying to figure out.
What should we do? Should somebody go check? Look, now this guy's kind of going. Yeah, should we go check on him or no?
Like,
well, wait a minute. I'll just hang out here for a minute. I don't want to go up the stairs because.
I mean, what the hell is he doing?
he's alone. He's alone. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't wave. He didn't turn around and wave. But he's gone, man. He's just gone. Where the fuck is he?
Yep.
He's just wandering around in that plane. Can you imagine? I wish I would have footage in there. Can you imagine him wandering around?
Eating nuts.
I don't know.
Maybe he found some...
picking shit off the other people's plates or,
No, there's nobody in there.
Oh, my God. Here he comes. Okay, hi. Hi. Hello.
I'm back.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Just had to take a little tour.
Yeah, taking a tour of the plane, see how they were flying. Okay, come on. Oh, and she grabs him and leads him away. Look, come on, Joe, come on.
What the hell was he doing?
Inspecting the plane, I guess.
Maybe he had to use the bathroom.
Wow. Yeah, all caught on camera. Yep. Yeah, she's babbling away the whole time it's happening. Yep. Absolutely unbelievable. So, okay, she's got enough votes to become the Democratic nominee, and they're going to wrap it up by, I think, Monday.
Yeah.
They're going to sign, sealed, and delivered.
She's going to announce her running mate any day now.
Yeah, there's your democracy for you. Mm-hmm. Yep, works good. All right, guys, there's still news breaking all the time. And if it does break, we might pop back on to fix it. I don't know. We'll try. But I'm going to take a break from this stream, and I'll probably just set up an evening stream and wrap stuff up tonight because stuff just keeps going faster and faster and faster. Doesn't it feel like
crazy.
that? It feels like we're on the roller coaster ride. Man, we went over the hill a while ago.
Yeah.
And we're just zooming down the roller coaster, boy. I think we got a loop-de-loop coming up soon. So, yeah, make sure that you stick with us. We're really happy that you stopped by. Anybody that's new here, make sure you check us out. Let's just watch for us to go live. We go live all the time. But we got movie night tomorrow at 8 o'clock, right? The movie club. We got church on Sunday at 1 o'clock. You want to be here for that. Matthew chapter 4. That's going to be awesome. Awesome. And then we do Mondays starting again, right? 8 to 10, air day. Chuckling it up and drinking coffee in the morning. Having fun.
Yep.
So, yeah, we enjoyed you. Thanks, Kuhn. Thanks, everybody, for popping in. Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Bastiat. Yeah, definitely come back, join us. Follow, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Ding, 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 all that crap. And if you got an extra couple of quarters, toss them in the cup on the way out. I'm TruthSlinger. My name's Tim. That's Jennifer.
Hi.
Hippie chick over there.
Bye.
And we are the hell out of here. Moo.